Carolina wren. Listen to that Carolina wren. They're very talkative little birds. Welcome everyone, thanks for the love. So, in case you arrive later or have to go, the following recording will be made available to you, for you, on my YouTube channel, which is in my bio, the link. What we will be doing today is the entire coursework of Inner Fire, which is a modified, let's just call it a more profound version. For the dissolution of ego and the transmutation version. For the dissolution of ego and the transmutation. For the dissolution of ego and the transmuted. This happens every day. Now we're back. It just has to shift from Wi-Fi to cellular data, and now we're good. So welcome everyone. Thank you for your love. It helps to push the algorithm into the direction of inviting like-minded individuals who are seeking this practice and this knowledge, which is lovely. Welcome everyone. Great to see you all here. So thank you for your love bubbles. These little love bubbles are really the only request that I ask of you. What it does is it works on your own transmutation, and I'll be explaining to you the whole inner volcano practice, which is what I would say a more direct, westernized practice for the transmutation of pain remembrances and the dissolution of our ego selves. If that doesn't make sense to you, that's okay. You're actually totally fine if you just come here and listen to this as if it's sound. By listening to this as if it's sound, I can guarantee you the following. The words that are coming into me now are being presented by this infinite intelligence that is referred to as Source, or the universal subconscious mind, the unified field, presence, the now, God, Allah, the Creator, Yeshua, salvation, Christ consciousness. It can be labeled in a number of ways. Kether, the light, the one, the all. Unification of spirit, the Holy Spirit. I mean, on this goes. It could be the resting frequency of this earth as the Schumann frequency. Just know that it's coherence with a source that delivers words through my body as a vessel of this intelligence, and I'm acting as the radio transmitter, okay? Otherwise known as channeling. And so this is in a form of channeling where I'm observing with you. And so the more that you tap the screen, the more people will tune in to this frequency, and the greater our coherence as far as manifesting our desires shall occur. That's what's beautiful about our joint collaborative effort here as co-creators and manifestors, as made in the image and likeness of God. Welcome, and thank you for following. Diane, Lisa, thank you. Lovely to see people coming in for the first time following. It's a sign that there is more coherence occurring. And so a lot of people will also ask, what are your credentials, William? What's your education? How am I to trust you in what you say? And so I think it's best, before the definitions are established and the labels are made, to just, instead of defining this and researching it, to just allow yourself the privilege of easing in without having to do any sort of concentrated work as if you were a student arriving at a class and I've suddenly called you out amongst a group and said, are you paying attention? You're not going to get any of that here because it doesn't solve anything. It doesn't bring anyone relief. And what I find is just your mere presence and being here as an observer of this channel heals you more than any sort of gimmick or technique that the ego self that is William may be promising you right now. That said, I do believe the technique that we are exercising today is in fact a very powerful, immediate way to transmute your pain remembrances that are embedded in the cellular structures of your body to feel relief. So we have that to look forward to. Jane Bender, thank you for following. And Yogini, thank you for the gift. I happen to not see it. I'm grateful to all of you for being here and for tuning in and for the love coming in. You've now placed us in a position of popularity, which will help, of course, for us to get to more people who are seeking knowledge. So as we dive into the technique now, as I will just mention again that this entire recording shall be found on my YouTube page at some point this evening. I'm not sure when that will be. It takes about 2 to 3 hours for the entire video to be processed since it is so long. It's usually between typically 2.5 to even 3 hours of discourse until the battery runs out or our practice is concluded. At which point I'll start processing it and then putting it out there on YouTube for people to access for free. So the techniques, the sequence for transmuting your pain shall be found within this recording today. Tamara, thank you for following. And Lucky Lefty, it's great to see you again. David, thank you for following. Jane, you too. Let's start now. Jesse, you too, thanks for following. I love this. It's lovely to see people coming in. You hear me rustling with a page. This is the affirmation list that I read to myself every morning, and I do this while holding a specific yogic posture, which places me on my hands suspended in the air. It's a modified form of frog pose. While I'm in it, I'm getting upper body, lower body, ab work, and then I'm also challenging myself through balance to read these affirmations with calm. I'm going to read them to you so that you can have them for this recording, and if you wish to write them down now, if you don't get them all, not to worry, you can always go back to the recording on YouTube, pause, and write this for yourself. However, I would use these affirmations for your own manifestation of your desires, and you can modify as you see fit, but I do find this to be quite comprehensive, and it comes in 7 sections according to the chakras of the body. Okay. Sugar Plum, thanks for following. Gigi, you too. Trish King asks, do you go live at the same time every day? I wasn't notified that you went live. It's just about the same time, Trish. Thanks for asking. It varies between really 11:30 and 1. It gives me time to figure out how to organize my day to have that flexibility, though what is for sure is that I go live every day and the broadcasts are made available following the conclusion on YouTube, and that link is in my bio. Jesse, thanks for following. Oops, what else we have here? Okay, we're caught up now. Greetings to Zog. It says some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. Tamara says to screen record. Ooh, that's a really good idea. Tomorrow I'm going to do my best to do that, understanding I think it consumes a lot of memory, but it's nice to... Good idea. Tomorrow I'm going to do my best to do that, understanding I think it consumes a lot of memory, but it's nice to see the comment. It won't require me to have to process the recording, a screen record right now. Heidith says, thank you for doing the YouTube. You're welcome. My pleasure. Kenneth, thank you for following. And so I just want to thank Tamara for making that suggestion to do a screen record. That way we'll also get the comments from everyone, which will help with the discourse as well. Really beautiful suggestion, and now we're cooking. This is the place where we begin our cooking every day. Get a look at our beautiful environment here in the woods. Let's get into affirmations. Say to yourself, say in your mind, I trust the universe fully supports my deepest desires. My wishes manifest effortlessly, exceeding all expectations. Abundance flows into my life. I am worthy of unlimited wealth, prosperity, and financial freedom. My body radiates vibrant health. Every cell, organ, and system functions perfectly. I attract loving energy. The perfect partner for me appears effortlessly, sharing harmony, joy, and mutual growth. I release all limitations, doubts, and fears. Gratitude fills my heart for life's blessings. I am the creator of my reality. My thoughts manifest my desires. And by the power of my intention, these desires are now manifest. So it is. I believe. It is done. Amen. Okay, let's begin our practice for today. If you are driving, I would suggest go to the recording at some other time, for you may be entering, depending on the individual, into a state of deep, profound relaxation, while at the same time, a concentrated connection with Source. Desiree, thank you for sharing. And I just want to point out to Big Nerd, thank you for following. De Beach, you too. Tamara Lynn says, beautiful. That's worth a pin. And thank you again for suggesting the screen record. My prayer is that it's actually picking up my vocal, so let me just check this record. My prayer is that it's actually picking up my vocal, so let me just check this recording. Up the affirmation. Perhaps I shall read this again, just because the microphone not recording for the affirmation is a requirement. It's a requirement for us to hear this affirmation, so I'll be reading this again. It'll give you all an opportunity to connect with this. And as you're listening to this, I'm listening to it too. We're all tuned into Source. Please just try to place yourself into a comfortable position for relaxation. You don't need to be concentrating like a student in class paying attention. Your brain will know exactly how to feed you the messages of importance. If you allow yourself to relax, that's mission accomplished, okay? Say to yourself, say in your mind, I trust the universe fully supports my deepest desires. My wishes manifest effortlessly, exceeding all expectations. Abundance flows into my life. I am worthy of unlimited wealth, prosperity, and financial freedom. My body radiates vibrant health. Every cell, organ, and system functions perfectly. I attract loving energy. The perfect partner for me appears effortlessly, sharing harmony, joy, and mutual growth. I release all limitations, doubts, and fears. Gratitude fills my heart for life's blessings. I am the creator of my reality. My thoughts manifest my desires. And by the power of my intention, these desires are now manifest. So it is done. I believe. Amen. We are recording. We have everyone's We are recording. We have everyone's beautiful to do some deleting. So for the time being, this recording today will be just what's provided by TikTok. And then I will free up a bunch of space. I have to transfer a number of videos in order to free up space for a good 2 or 3 hour recording with screen record. And I will keep this in mind for future, as I know it will be with screen record. And I will keep this in mind for future, as I know it will be more beneficial. Now prompting me that my iPhone storage is full and there could be no more distractions coming our way to try to inform me of error, and I understand. Thank you very much, iPhone. JH Mountain Girl, thank you for following. Melissa Ellis, you too. Sky, thanks for the follow. Welcome, everyone. Let's continue. So today's discourse shall be a presentation of a technique for the transmutation of pain remembrances, i.e. the dissolution of your ego or identity as you know it. The purpose of this practice is for suffering to be eliminated from life, as it is an unnecessary component that seems to have swallowed the world whole as far as humanity's collective consciousness, leading us to a place of extreme frustration and need to dissolve it. So as we have great strife happening amongst us in this planet, on this planet, it gives the infinite intelligence that is God an immense opportunity to show face and reveal the truth of our existence as co-creators with Source. So as we come into this power together, my recommendation is that you rest, relax, and receive, knowing that all plans that would be needed for the dissolution of your ego already exist and shall come to you in the dosage that you need as I just continue to spit words coming in from the channel that is Source. 7.83 hertz, the Schumann frequency on this day. Phrododendron, thanks for the follow. Healthy Lifestyle Services, thank you for following. We are caught up now. Thank you for all your love. We're currently 6,500 feet above sea level on this beautiful sojourn today. My name is William, your host, and we are above sea level as we make our way towards the great vast distances of time and space. We shall look back at this planet and see it turning in a peaceful state of God's manifold expression. Come into being. Start to observe your aliveness on this day. No need to define it. No need to ask why. For in a moment, we will be growing to the size of the planet itself through our imagination, the nation of images that is our salvation within, the kingdom of heaven, the imagination. Start to come in contact with your breath. Deep inhales through the nose, exhales through the nose. And as you breathe, say to yourself, I'm breathing in. Starting to give the mind, which otherwise would be running things amok, a job to do. That job is simple. Monitor your breath as you are breathing in and breathing out. Stick with it. If you find it's too difficult, some folks just breathe normal. Some folks find it difficult to breathe through the nose. It's not a common thing. You could be working out on a treadmill right now. You could be hiking the woods, going on an incline. And if that's the case, you can feel free to breathe any way you need to. Once again, there is no grade. There is no doing things right or wrong here. We're simply observing we are alive. That's mission accomplished. That's achievement unlocked. That's your platinum trophy unlocked. I observe I am alive. Ding, ding, ding. The dissolution of the ego has begun. This seemingly profound creation of ours, being demoted from CEO to mailroom sorter. Connect with this tree, please. Just connect with me, and you can imagine my hand being yours. Allow the cells of your body through the imagination to believe that it is in contact with a tree that serves as an antenna for your healing. From this earth, which is negatively charged, are escaping free electrons being sent through this tree, negative ions passing through the pores of your skin, binding to the molecular structures of your body, preventing free radicals from taking their place, otherwise causing mutations to your cells. We put an end to that by touching a tree. How profound and simple, yet therapeutic and scientifically real this is. At the same time, this resting frequency of the earth, the Schumann frequency of 7.83 hertz, the cycle of about 4 seconds, starts to send itself through a projection of biofield into the cells of your body, placing your hemispheres of your brain in sync with one another. This requires you to let go of whatever frequency array is pummeling you through the egoic self that wants to keep you in disarray. Once again, it's no longer the CEO of your life, therefore we are accepting of that, understanding that the noise of the mind does not stop. That just does not mean that we must entertain it. In fact, it doesn't move us as much as our observing. We are alive in the now. Now, as these free electrons are coming in, say thanks for the reduction of inflammation in the body. And we are in sync. Becky, thanks for following. John A. has made it. Hello. Great to see you, John. Welcome back. Blessings to you. KC, thank you for following. Nick 77777777. Hi. Thanks for following. Lynn G, thanks for following. Frododendron says, hey, my friend. Hello, Frodo. Christina Lawler, thank you for following. Alicia, you too. And Frododendron, thank you for following too. We're all caught up now. Rhonda, thanks. And Casey, I think I got you. Rob asks, please tell me, how does God exist if we have science and logic? It was a way to keep people calm. Are you answering your own question? It's okay, I'll answer it too, since we both have our own game system that's working right now through Source. So the question is how, which in a way we can judge as a means of saying I am unsatisfied with God's manifold expression before me right now, so I'm seeking through the ego, which is an identity based in illusion, to find some separateness between myself and whatever this is that's trying to threaten my existence. That's a big judgment, but it is why we ask how. How does God exist if we have science and logic? My answer is, since I see God as an infinite intelligence that knows the means and the way and is the giver and gift of life experience, we have no science and we have no logic without Source providing us the ability to voice an opinion. Science and logic, like the ego, our identity of self, must be constructed through the use of time. So we can't have definitions, labels, or any sort of form in this beautiful yet very illusory three-dimensional experience. We can't have any definition of it without first having a construct of time. Through time, we have the logs of our life. Think of them like pages in a book. You can't have the pages without there being a sequence of time involved. Otherwise, it just becomes a topographic map, which in truth is what we are as conscious beings, more a map with layers, 3D printed over every day, every step, every breath, than the pages of a book presented in a linear fashion like time. However, in order to have a glossary, in order to have an index, in order to have science and theory and constructs, we must have a sequence of pages with a beginning, a middle, and an end. But in order to have the book itself, to have the sequence in order, there has to be an intelligence fueling its creation. And that intelligence is what I refer to as God. The infinite intelligence, the universal subconscious mind, presence in being, otherwise known as the imagination. So we can't have time without the imagination, because the imagination knows no bounds. It's birthless, it's deathless, it's changeless until we order it, and it's immortal. We can access it instantaneously. It doesn't die. It can't be taken from us. It can't be stripped away or destroyed. But if we think that it can, thus it is. It becomes as childlike as the world would say the imagination is, as useless as it's identified once you've become grown up to let it go entirely. Thus it adheres to those wishes, formulates itself into a hardened shell of ego that is constantly seeking the answers to questions that appear as threats to one's existence. For the ego cannot be a part of the imagination. It must instead fuel itself off of it, like a parasite. And it does that because it is our own creation. We create the ego the moment that we decide that our name is our existence. That frequency band that was mentioned over and over again by mommy and daddy or our guardians, the ones whom we chose to trust. We started to respond to this string of sounds. For me, my string is William. For you, it could be KC, it could be Adela, it could be John A, it could be Kino, it could be Debbie. But for me, it's William. That's my string of frequency. And once William was said enough times and I responded in an enthusiastic way because I was paying attention like a good student in school, thus the indoctrination began and the accumulation of life experiences on top of that identity that is William. But in truth, it is a construct, it is a creation that is only possible through, first, the creation of time. For the need to label, judge, and identify things around me in order to be separate from them, in order to be safe from them, so that I don't face my obliteration of self, which the ego knows as one life to live, no possibility for parole. You must make it through as cleanly and as safely as possible. And you must also keep yourself at a distance from any enemy, any threat, anything that seems too difficult to define or make sense of. What is a problem with all of this is that the ego will never, ever get access to the infinite creation that is the imagination. God's manifold expression cannot be seen by this entity because the entity itself is just a story. It's a collection of pages with a beginning, a middle, an end, whether that end is in your aliveness now by coming into being, or that end is at some point where we decide as individual egoic selves that we no longer wish to hold on to this life experience and perish. The ego will abandon you at that point in time and become nothing because it is nothing. It will become an illusion because it is illusion. There will no longer be the presence of life for the imagination to feed it any further pages in the book that it is and was and never will be again. So how can God exist if there's science and logic too? And the answer is, I label God just like anyone else, but I call it an infinite intelligence without any bounds. I falsely identify something, try to encapsulate something that is actually infinite and cannot be contained. Science attempts to do the same with all of the phenomena that are before us. Because we fear death, ultimately, we create these systems. The ego is no exception. Okay. Twatter Baby, thanks for following. Rob has had a non-approved comment, but I'm going to open it up. Rob is going on a separation vacation. Let's pin this. So Rob has now ignored the fact that I've invited him into my egoic self performance, has decided to go towards gossip, to entice other viewers, to have a privatized conversation in order for you to feel safe from your own obliteration, to go down that primrose path, develop story and opposition against a person who is actually speaking in truth. But his DMs are open. Rob says, if you believe this, my box is open to debate. So, Rob, this is a discourse. So I'm going to explain this to you. This is not me being fearful of having a debate with you. Why debate with something that I believe to be channeling through me as truth, as the supplier of my life experience? All I'm giving everyone right now is the ability to transmute their pain remembrances. What you are giving me in the form of a debate is to see ourselves in further opposition to one another, for you to feel some security that you've made a point that makes you feel even more separate from Source. You are abandoning this Source by wanting to define it. And I am unifying myself with it by not caring so much. Do you see? But what we need is both of these things, because by me not caring and by you caring too much, in the center there is a light made from the resistance between us in this apparent tug of war in which I'm not participating, but you believe I am. You see this light in the center that is offered to the viewer who comes in and decides whether or not to receive that. But all the same, they don't need to, for the light that they truly are and need is already feeding them this life experience from within. But it's entertaining enough to have this back and forth, I can say. It's why we're here in this body. But there's no debate to have that is of value for people. It will only create a sense of tension for individuals, and the ego will be feeding off of each and every person's vital essence by diving into that story. And we do this way too much. We do it way too much. It leads to so much pain and suffering. There's no resolution in a debate. But there is resolution in the answering to questions. So if you have a true question, please ask it direct to me, rather than gossiping in private with a forum, like you are some idolized being that is of greater importance than anyone else made in the image and likeness of God. Don't become a false prophet. Ask questions. This is a discourse. Miss Annie, thank you for following. Michelle, thank you for sharing. And there we are. Thank you for the roses. This is my ego self saying that. My ego self at times comes into performance and feels a threat of its own existence. At the same time, it knows better not to continue in such a train of thought. For if that happens, I won't resist it, I won't yell at it, I won't run from it or fight it. Instead, I'll turn to the beechwood tree and the leaves that rustle, and look at how the world sways. And as I'm looking at the world swaying in its own unique, beautiful, manifold expression of way, the ego is no longer present, nor is my body, lest I come back to acknowledging it again. And that's fine, because the majority of us on this planet will never come to a state of observing we are alive once we've developed the ego and it has a hard-found grip on our lives. The unfortunate result of that is pain and suffering in a perpetual feedback loop of trying to define things out of the fear of mere obliteration. And I have better things to do than entertain such foolishness here. I, being the infinite intelligence and source of creation, observing the aliveness that is William walking and talking in the woods, purely connected to source in a peak experience of theta waves firing and wiring into gamma waves, providing the flow of creation. Of course, you could say it's nothing at all, and it really is nothing at all, but at the same time, we are tuned in, aren't we? Kahan, if that's how I say it. Lady V, thank you for following. Jenny, you too. Kirsten says, with her eyes like this, can you tell us your thoughts on Jesus? Sure. Trish King says, religious trauma is a huge part of the pain I feel. I'm here for healing and truth. You are receiving it as a co-creator of this experience. Let's get to this question. Here are my thoughts on Jesus, Kirsten. In order for me to get through this fully, I have to use etymology. So I'm looking at the meaning of words. After all, that's what we want. You know, the thoughts on Jesus are the same as determining the meaning of Jesus. So let's figure it out. Jesus can come in a form of man, i.e. Jesus of Nazareth. It could also be Jesus from Mexico. Or it could be an actual noun, meaning salvation. I tend to focus on the noun version more than the body, than the name, identity, and collection of life experiences, including Jesus of Nazareth, whose story is quite profound, and I wish not diminish that story in the hearts of others who adhere to it with religious fervor. Instead, I would like to talk about what salvation means. Right now, you're welcome for this time, of course, Tamara. So, Kirsten, in this case, your salvation, I can assume, is the answering of your question. My thoughts on Jesus become your salvation. The ego seeking some explanation beyond perhaps what you have learned and been told, or even threatened that if you didn't believe, you would be expelled from the gates of heaven and thrown into a perpetual purgatory. Yes, that does not sound like a benign, expansive, life-giving, generative principle. That to me sounds like a destructive, condemning, destroying force that sees itself as greater than human, which is made in the image and likeness of God Himself. That to me holds no salvation. But I could be the only one on earth who believes that, and I am more than happy being alone in that. There's not a single part of me that would ever find salvation outside of me, in a form, in a name, in a symbol, or anything other than that. Instead, Jesus for me is the harvest of my faith, the salvation that comes when I believe that right now I am healing. And Jesus of Nazareth and I, according to the scriptures and what I have learned through Gnostic teachings, the Book of Thomas, the Nag Hammadi, and Coptic teachings and translations was that this kingdom was not of this world, that which is outside of me, the result of the true kingdom within. And that to access it, I had to become like a child in innocence and step through the narrow gates, bypassing time and becoming one with the eternal, present moment, God's manifold expression in the now. And in doing this, I would be presented with the sacred oil, the anointment of Christ. As it bathes this temple of God, my amalgamation of 50 trillion cells, I feel, through the imagination, no distance between what it is I desire and what it is I am living, as every cell that I've mentioned that came from the one that was our conception feels this vacation and takes it with me. I am saved. I come into my salvation through the bathing of these sacred celestial waters that claim myself as king of this heaven within, not of this world, but instead the maker of it. Jesus to me is that salvation, and it may not be for you. It may be outside of you. For many who have come to me saying, I must seek the Lord and repent, how could that be if I've already recognized it as within me, not separate from me, but instead the giver and gift of me? How could it be that I have to repent in accepting such beauty when it was the very same thing that Jesus of Nazareth was trying to tell all of his disciples and the Pharisees to the point of his crucifixion, that it already existed within each and every one of us, and that it was the denial of such a thing that was in need of forgiveness, and that we did not know what we were doing in seeing ourselves as separate from such a thing. How is that any different from where I am now, saying what I'm saying? How is this any different? Each and every one of us has a kingdom of heaven within us. We have already gone through the hardships. We have been chosen to be born, made in the image and likeness of this infinite intelligence, Christ consciousness, otherwise known as God, for us to receive our salvation from within, not tomorrow, not yesterday, not temporarily or in some ephemeral, fleeting way, but every moment of every step of every breath and every day of our lives, saved. That, to me, are my thoughts on Jesus. Quite a rant, but I have to make it clear. Kirsten says, I believe Jesus was trying to share so much more to us than what we've been told. This continues to be told to us, that we are to adhere to some indoctrination outside of ourselves. We are literally killed for thinking that the kingdom of heaven is within us. We are hung for it. We are shot for it. We are crucified for it. We are condemned for it. And people go to war saying, I'm going to change this in you. They go through inquisitions. They flog, buck and gag, and flay, and skin alive anyone who doesn't see the way that they see. And you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the serpent in the Garden of Good and Evil, or the Garden of Eden, saying, would you like to become like God? Like God, says the serpent, trying to plant the seed very subversively, in an occult way, explain to the embodiment of God already, the human being, that they are already separate from God. Would you like to be like God? A little closer? A little less separate than you already are? Says the serpent. Just partake in this fruit of separation, and you shall know what it is to be like God, yet separate from him. That is the temptation of the devil. That is the true temptation of Satan. It is to plant the seed that we, from the very beginning, are already separate from this source, and undeserving until we partake in the illusion that promises us in a false way, through a primrose path, our salvation somehow, if we only adhere to the orders of man. And I will never, ever, in my right mind, ever adhere to this again. For I did it for way too long, and to my own peril, and the peril of my family, my friends, my community, and what I believe to be my world. I have put it all in peril by believing the false promises of an external God. And it goes against the first of the 10 commandments, to take the Lord's name in vain, by seeing the infinite intelligence as separate from me and outside of me. Never again. Never. So I have to make this so clear and so apparent to people, because I know that there's an indoctrination coming in. Thank you, Jessica. And that people are coming into this room probably with a lot of fear, and they're going to immediately go live and say, this man is a heretic. This man is claiming to be an embodiment of God, and he is poisoning our children's minds, and he is poisoning our communities. No doubt. The same was said about Jesus of Nazareth when he claimed that, yes, he was God, but this kingdom from which he was a king was not of this world. And that's what led to his crucifixion. And it led to the Pharisees wanting him to be condemned. And it was the same thing with Saul, who became Paul the Apostle. He was a Pharisee who was killing and crucifying Christians who believed in this. Until one day he's on his way back to Acre. He finds himself blinded for some reason, instantly blinded, has to stumble his way back to Damascus, whatever that travel was, finds himself without sight. And the person who he wished to condemn, I forget the man's name, but he's a disciple of Christ, of Jesus, comes to Saul and says, I have an order to place my hands on you from Jesus of Nazareth to return your sight. And he was placing a huge risk on himself by returning, because he was actually on the hit list to be killed, to be condemned by the Pharisees. And so Saul, in that moment, he gets a hand on his head, his sight comes back, and he's illuminated. Instantaneously realizes the error of his ways and defects. And as a result of his defection, he has to be lowered from the walls of Damascus in a basket, hidden from those who wanted to kill him. So it became this witch hunt. Anyone who believed the kingdom of heaven was within them, and that the kingdom was not of this world, but rather the world was a result of this kingdom through the imagination, which was communion with Christ. Anyone who thought that was condemned. And we have just come right back to it again, haven't we? We just haven't learned. We haven't learned our lessons. And so all this speaks to is that there are dark forces that are non-human. Because if they were human, they would have no problem just manifesting their desires, manifesting whatever it is they wanted, without trespassing on the lives of other human beings. There must be dark forces that are non-human, that are orchestrating this with extreme jealousy and an inability to access the imagination, to manifest their desires, and thus seek the enslavement and control of humanity for the only satisfaction that comes, knowing that they will never have access to God so directly as we do. That's Satan. That is Satan. That's the devil. That's the beast. for all intents and purposes. It is a non-human entity that would only seek the destruction of God's manifold expression and the enslavement of human beings, knowing that's the furthest it could ever be in satisfaction and the closest it could ever be to being like God. Of course, we see that throughout the world, expressed now, and people are now awakening to it, coming into their power. And the moment that you come into your power and you provide yourself your own personalized salvation, you can't be touched by these dark forces. You will have no fear of them, for you will understand that these dark forces are necessary for there to be resistance between light and dark, and that neither can exist without them both existing at the same time. But you find yourself centered between them. And in this centering and finding yourself between them, your salvation is made manifest. Isabel says, "Your speech is so eloquent and your content is so spiritual." Isabel, thank you. God bless you. Danielle M. says, "Any tips to stay steady?" We're getting in it now, Danielle, don't worry. Danielle says, "Within hours of prayer, I get lustful demons and demons trying to pull me in all different ways." Okay, it's okay. We'll talk about this. Jessica, thank you for following. It's your life experience you're having. Pretzel is writing. Grand Rising, Madre Cast. I'm catching up on everyone now. John A., God bless you, says 100% truth. Tracy Stack, thanks for following. Grand afternoon, Randy Rains. Jessica shared, thank you. Pammy, thanks for following. Mockingbird says, higher mind. Matt, and we're co-creating, by the way, Mockingbird, which falls in line with your name, doesn't it? Thank you for following, Matt. And Jessica, I said before, thanks for the heart me. Is it normal to feel ready to fight any force that tries? Happy our mom, of course. It comes from a fear of death, and we will talk about this. User 5949060198414. Thank you for following. DJW asks, so is this the Christ consciousness? We have a lot of questions. Okay, let's talk about lust. Okay, let's talk about the lower desires as they were, and it requires a definition of them in that way. We're going into the realm of good and bad, good and evil. And it seems to be poignant because I was just talking about the yin and yang, the positive and negative, the good, the bad, the divine and the darkness. Okay. There is nothing inherently good or bad, good or evil, but thinking it makes it so. So what I'm trying to do now, Danielle, in answering your question, the feeling that you have is one of overwhelm, like there are forces from external sources that are overwhelming you in some way. And what it leads to is in this definition, and it is an assumption on my part, but it works for educational purposes, is that you feel a no in the now. It's like these thoughts we've taken ownership over. And this is just another way of the ego tricking you into believing that it is a real entity, that it is something more than illusion. You have to take responsibility for the manifestation of thoughts running through your mind. Well, let me ask you this. And it's a rhetorical question, but you can see it in this example. Do you take responsibility for the feed on your TikTok? Do you take responsibility for your feed on Netflix? How about the feed from the radio station that you've stumbled upon? And the answer is no. You shouldn't, in your right mind, take responsibility for any of these things that you stumble upon or that are presenting themselves to you in the form of a feed. Instead, where you start to take responsibility comes from when you decide to entertain them and define them as either good or bad. That's when you're exercising your imagination to create a label, of what it is that is influencing your life. And only then will it perpetuate, so long as you keep entertaining it. So the answer here is lust a good or bad thing? For many who are reading scripture will say lust is a very bad thing. Okay. For some people, lust might be quite good. In fact, they might like just to be constantly thinking about pleasure. And that pleasure is the thing that gets them most happy in life. Just like someone would like to have a hamburger every single day. Someone else would say, I would never want to be eating anything that has to do with cow. Another person will say, well, I'm kind of in between. Some days I like to have the cow. Other days I don't because I feel guilty. I go back and forth. But then you're going to have people who are on the extremes. What all of this means is that each and every human being is having a unique life experience as an avatar, which in fact is an illusion. But it's a player. It's a player in the game of life. So for some reason, this feed is coming to you over and over again, likely giving you a feeling that it is not good, thus becomes undesirable, but yet deep down there seem to be these embedded urges to want to entertain it. So how about this? Why don't we turn this story into a story of good so that your body feels the change and can start to understand it as something that you desire and don't feel any sort of regret for, because you're in no position to give your power to an external circumstance that is threatening you with judgment and belittlement or whatever it is that you're being projected toward, whatever's projecting towards you. We're just not going to give your power to that anymore. If it's wrong, you feel it in your stomach, says 11 Jedi. You can be trusting of your gut, the gut instinct. It's kind of like a dog knows when someone is happy or sad, angry or relieved. The gut instinct works a lot like a dog's intuition. Without having to define it with words, you know. Danielle says, thank you very much for talking about this topic. I've been dealing with this for years. So the best part is you're no longer dealing with it because you are the creator of it. Therefore, we don't deal with the things that we create. We observe them. We observe them as the result of our creation, of our co-creation with the imagination. So I'm just asking for you to turn the page and let's make it a new twist, which is when these thoughts that you should feel guilty or regret or remorse come about, observe them. Observe them like a reader reading a page in the book. You didn't write them, you didn't provide them, but you're entertaining them. Entertain them for as long as you would like, so long as it feels comfortable. And if no part of it feels comfortable, I would like you to go into your imagination and flip the switch on it, like yin-yang. Whatever is the opposite of the feeling that you're getting, which is bad, I want you to give it a scene where it feels great. So I can give you an example, and this is going to be very personal, and this is going to also be not appropriate for all age audiences. So if you're under the age of 18, my suggestion is go elsewhere. It's not for you to listen to these things, but I'll share with you now some adult-related information that helps with lust, okay? All right, we're listening. So individuals who have come across sources of pornography in whatever way, shape, or form usually feel, after its entertainment, some feeling of guilt because of the stigma attached to it, because of the endorphins that it brings, because of its addictive qualities. It could be a number of these things because of the stigma attached to it regarding even trafficking of individuals. All of this could be discussed as negatives, and of course, they are, in my mind. And then there's another part of me which observes it like this. Everywhere around you, you are going to see the result of your thoughts, feelings, and convictions being manifest. And all of it is going to be distorted in some way because of the accumulation of your life experiences. So we'll never truly see Source unfold before us unless we are fully present. And how this applies to this discussion about lust is that we all have our own perspective when it comes to sex, procreation, and expression through that way. Our hunger for it, the pangs to have it, which ultimately comes from this innate desire to procreate. Let's look at the reality. There's a life expression before us that's happening, and it's constantly seeking a way to procreate. Where we are currently on our planet is a space where we have destroyed life more than created as human. It's a very unusual time. I believe there's not a single country, aside from maybe India, that is in the plus when it comes to sustaining our society at the current rate of population growth. Every single country on the planet since the pandemic has come into decline. That should be a concern. Because if there is no more life in the form of human, because we've decided to destroy it, the universal subconscious mind will simply decide that we are in no position to maintain this life principle as the pinnacle of consciousness. So we're sending that message in the destruction of life, and we're sending that message by denying ourselves the pleasure of procreation. And we should not be procreating until we are fully educated as to what the responsibility is as a provider, both man and woman falling into a specific role in that. I say this speaking on behalf of my egoic self as well, that I was unaware of the responsibilities when I brought life into this world. And I certainly don't regret my decisions because I love my children. However, I think there's a lot of education missing when it comes to this. So, Corb says, thank you for posting Sundays live to your YouTube channel, writing down that abundance affirmation. I'm so happy that you're doing that corbification, and thank you for asking for that sequence to be delivered. Artman99, thanks for following. Ashley, thank you for following. Rayleigh777, thank you for following. Love Helen, thank you for sharing. Faye Ferrando, thank you for following. Jessica says, you can also turn them into positive thoughts. This is exactly it, Jessica. That's where we're headed. Marbo, thank you for following. Ka, thank you for following. So the idea, Max von Klein, thank you for following. Daniel says, and by giving power to it, you mean as mental power. I mean any entertainment of thought. So here we go. Wendy just says, 3 dogs just ran behind you. That's the life experience you're having, Wendy. That's amazing. You're having your own life experience through a 2-dimensional screen. It's not unlike your holographic experience having a human life experience, except you're looking through a phone, having it within a reality or having another reality. And it's also presenting you with illusion. That's wonderful. Active Healing says, when we have a Kundalini awakening, what do we do next? How to support my child in facing his pain? We have a lot of questions coming in that require answers, or we can just be while it all unfolds. Either way, it's all good. We'll get through it. Cozy, thank you for following. So what do we do with lust? Okay? Here's what I say. It is no sin to want to create life. I will say this again. It is not a sin to want to create life. If you are procreating, if you're thinking about that, the desire, the pleasure, the lovely feelings that come from that, the play, all of it that comes with being with a perfect partner who knows you, then go there. What most individuals do when it comes to lust is they feel like, I'll never have the right partner. I'll never be as lucky as so-and-so, therefore envy. I'll never be in a position where I feel attractive enough. I'll never have the right resources. It's all of these things that have to do with lack, usually, when lust is involved. And so true love through procreation is saying, I am so grateful that I have the proper resources to make this decision. I have the proper education and ability to be able to nurture this child to be even stronger, more presentable, more socially mobile than I have been in my life, like previous generations. I am doing my part in this way. I love the fact that I'm being fruitful and multiplying for the sake of the continuation of consciousness, and I'm passing on an empire with tons of assets, tons of resources, and tons of goodness going into the next generation, and that we're all unified by this life principle that I know is the truth of my existence. That is why I'm bringing life into this world, to nurture it, to love it. And I love the pleasure that comes from doing that. And I also love the play that comes from that. And I love being free to be able to explore it with a perfect partner in this way. I am so grateful these things are in my life. Thank you, Lord. Instead of being alone, giving your limbic system some pleasure, feeling more at a distance, more hopeless, more without, which is where most people go when it comes to these sources. So it's simply a matter of giving yourself the worthiness and the right to step into the imagination. And just like you're giving yourself the worthiness to feel wealthy and healthy and wish fulfilled, you're giving yourself the worthiness to be with a perfect partner in perfect union, like twin flames finding each other in the most magical way, enjoying life for the rest of your days with the embrace of your perfect partner. Looking you in the eyes, telling you, I love you, I get you, I know you, I feel you, I see you. These are the things we need to do. And so really, lust is no different when it comes to the attraction of money, the attraction of wealth, the attraction of success, protection, health, perfect education, wisdom, whatever it is. It falls into the same category. You come into being and feeling into the abundance. Isabel, thank you for sharing. John, thank you for following. Phecia says, appreciated. Most definitely. God bless your heart, says Phecia. Of course. Absolutely. God bless you all. Roxanne, thank you for sharing. Sweet bright being, thank you for following. Best version of me, what a name. Thank you for following. Glory to God, amen. Phecia's feeling this. Thank you, precious. You're most welcome. The idea is this. Let me be a reminder of your worth. You know, whatever this identity is, let the source of life that is fueling me be, in a way, an echo for you to understand you are worthy of feeling pleasure, abundance, expansion, freedom, protection, provision, education, property, estate, perfect mobility, all of these things you are worthy of. For it is your kingdom, in truth, expressing these things as your real worth. I try to tell people, we have already gone through the rat race, folks. We did when we were racing for the cosmic egg to become conceived. And what's beautiful about this is we made it. We were the only ones who made it to the egg. And we fertilized it. We went through crazy hardship to make it to that, but we were chosen to be the ones who made it to the egg, to be conceived. And so the hard work has already been done. Now we are here to experience our harvest, but we think we have to plan out its manifestation. We have to strong arm it in some way. And I'm just trying to explain to you, that does nothing. This is the wake of your boat. This is the result of your work already. So go within to where the source is and see yourself as living from the end as wish fulfilled. You have been given the imagination to see yourself blissed out in glory, having the greatest pleasure of your life. Go there without remorse or regret, for it is no one else's domain but your own. You are king, you are queen, you are emperor, you are empress of a kingdom that is not of this world. And as you impress yourselves by going to that place through a form of epigenetics, you'll start to see everything around you echoing the same environment that you've created for yourself by going on vacation in this wish-fulfilled state. And the world that wishes to enslave you outside of you will hate you for this. will despise you for this. So this is why I implore and supplicate that you do this in secret, that you do not share this with a single soul. For that world outside of you will turn on you for thinking you are worthy of peace, prosperity, and wish fulfillment in the form of perfect health. Because all we have done is placate the ego our entire lives into believing that we are beings of lack, that we are victims of external circumstances, and it will turn and converge on us if we reveal the truth of our work in the imagination before it is manifest. Instead, just let God do the work. Just let God do the work. And keep going back to that perfect playground, that sandbox of wish fulfillment in the imagination in secret. And keep going on with your day. As the distortions and all the challenges and the resistance comes your way, just observe it instead of playing along. You decide, I'm not going to play with this today. It doesn't move me as much as I immediately and always go to this place of wish fulfillment. In fact, anytime I feel something uncomfortable, I tuck into the meal that is my perfect glory within the imagination. It simply serves as a catalyst now to deliver me back to my salvation. And I do this in secret, in such a world that knows no bounds or restrictions, that it would never be taken from me. That's how powerful I am. You see that to your ego. It's going to go running for the hills because you have brought out a great big flashlight. I'm talking one with the radiation of the sun, and you've shined it upon the illusion of your life, and it is dissipating like a vampire in the morning. Presented to what would otherwise be felt like the midday sun, it bursts into steam and dust because it can't exist when you're in your heaven. It must feed off of that by getting you to believe you're a victim, a peon who's been thrust into this world against your will and has to fight to survive. There could be no greater illusion than that. So it's good. I tell you these words, permeates your subconscious, brings you into your power. I take no responsibility for you coming into your power now. And that's the way I want it, and that's how I want to play my game. But you may want to play it differently. Some people might want to be idolized. They're called celebrities. That's fine. To each their own. My character has less suffering. How about yours? Tamara says, I find perfect peace in playing my harp. Nothing like the power of music. John A. says, you're so right about this. I loved it. It's challenging. You know, we do have love relationships with our suffering. We have love relationships, secret love relationships with victimizing ourselves. There's a secret, sick satisfaction that comes with falling in love with problems and talking about them incessantly, even though it leads to no solution. We do it anyway because we are feeling addicts. We love to feel things. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. We just want to feel that intensity. Unfortunately, the cells of the body accumulate these entertained moments. They feel them as real, even though we know we're entertaining the gossip of whomever or the revisiting of the past or speculating about the future. But the cells don't know the difference. They really feel like they're there, being thrust into peril, thrust into some past pain remembrance. So they are the result of our one cell amalgamating into trillions of cells. And so it's better to be caring and kind to that temple of God that is the accumulation of our cells, rather than thrust it in through the construction of time to situations that they believe they're going through. And I'll tell you a bit more about how that is truth in just a moment. Danielle says, so basically not giving any thought to it whatsoever, because the more you do, the more it will pull you. Well, here's the thing. You can't stop the train of thoughts. So as you feel the pull, leave the definition at that, lean into it, and observe as if you're not even here. You're alive, you sense aliveness, but the definition is no longer there or important. Like you've landed on the planet of lust, but you don't know it's the planet of lust, but you're learning without defining it, the strangeness of the situation, whatever it is, you're just kind of observing it, like an alien arriving at a new planet. And there's no real meaning anymore, and you'll start to feel ease from that. And once you start to feel ease from that, it will start to unwind itself as far as having meaning, and then you step into the imagination and start imagining scenarios that you truly enjoy. But do it so that it's to the benefit of everyone involved, understanding that every human being is an embodiment of God with infinite power. We wouldn't trespass upon that power, since we could create anything we want. We would never subject another human to an enslavement or a restriction. That's called trespassing. So that's why we become like a child when we go to the imagination, because we're no longer dominating anyone. We're generous with what we have. That's what children do. They heal everyone because they're healing people with their generosity and their lack of judgment. They just accept everyone. That's why children are so brilliant, are so amazing. They're just accepting of everyone. That's how you should become. Accepting of yourself. Consciously choosing unity, love, and compassion, says John. This is it. This is how you step into the imagination and use it properly. Alberry says, that was beautiful. My character requires less suffering. That sounds peaceful, Don Di Filippi says. It sounds peaceful because it is you. It is you in truth. And you find perfect peace in playing the harp. So let's talk about music. Music, what's beautiful about it is that it is an orchestrated form of harmony. And wherever you can express harmony in an orchestrated fashion, language and time and definition no longer is required for people to feel peace and satisfaction with the moment. So there's nothing better than music to pull you into the eternal now and feel relief and solace, knowing that there are no worries. Until, of course, we define that music as something that is pain-inducing through lyrics. That's where I would be not weary, but I would be cognizant of what you are taking in as far as lyrics go. Think to yourself, what is the feeling that this song gives me? I mean, it could be the surfacing of emotions. However, are they being processed? And by that, I mean, are you able to feel resolution? Just like the song has resolution. It has a verse, which is a beginning. It has a chorus. Then it has a bridge. And then it has an outro. And then it concludes. Whereas there was a beginning without any sound, then there was a lot of sound, it peaks, and then it slowly degrades and ends. There's conclusion. The question then becomes, through music, are you defining it so much to where it perpetuates a feeling of suffering? In that case, I would be weary in its use, because the feeling that music brings is a higher dimensional faculty that can have an influence over your life. I'm not saying stop listening to death metal or goth, emo, tronica. No, I'm saying look at it as it gives you pleasure. It should give you pleasure. Any form of music that you're listening to. And if it happens to be perceived as evil or wrong or whatever it is by the external world, then perhaps listen to it in private. But make sure that it is enjoyable for you, rather than restricting and pinning you into a feeling of desperation. That would be what I would advise against when it comes to music, okay? And 11 Jedi says, I love poetry. What's beautiful about poetry is it's left to the eye of the beholder to determine what the meaning is. And you could just listen to it like I'm speaking right now. This is just sound. And that gives you relief. Power and light within us followed. Thank you. Al says, you're spot on about lyrics. Thank you, Al. Tamara says, vibration and frequency. Yellow hearts followed. John followed. I think we're caught up. So Thank you for all the love, everyone. We're currently 16,900 feet above sea level. That's pretty high up. Once we get to about 30,000 feet above sea level, you'll start to see how slow God's manifold expression works. You'll start to feel a proper, healthy distance between yourself and whatever pains once were. Let's dive into our meditation now. The following meditation will be found on my YouTube channel. So if you've missed any of these discourses, my suggestion would be watch them from the beginning instead of just diving into a technique, kind of like reading the recipe book before going into the kitchen and cracking eggs would be my suggestion. This technique is for the dissolution of your ego, for the organization of your karmic energy to be wish fulfilled, to unwind your pain remembrances, whatever life experiences were challenging or present themselves as challenging now. This technique helps. So let's begin. We start our journey imagining ourselves as little tiny sperm penetrating the cosmic egg of life. You have passed through, and the shell of the egg is now calcifying, preventing any other competitors from invading your perfect wish-fulfilled space. This is your sanctuary. This is your centered hub. This is the source of your creation, and it shall not and cannot be invaded by any external force. By placing yourself in this place, which is in fact you in truth, from which all cells have come that have made your body, you are unified with an infinite intelligence that knows the means and the way to unwind your pain. Just as you did not need to do anything when you were conceived, the same rules apply to this practice. Listen as if it is sound. Observe as if you are alive as a spectator. Do not participate beyond what makes you comfortable. And once you feel uncomfortable, return to being the babe in the womb. Those are the only rules. We're returning to what we once were before all of the story. 11, the recommendation would be comfortable in comfortable clothes. Either sit or stand, lay down, whatever it is that gives you the most comfort in being. That's where I would want you to be. Okay, thank you for asking that. It's a good question to ask, always. Be comfortable. Beautiful. Thank you for following. Thanks for the heart face. Nanamina face. Hey, India. What a surprise. Lovely to see you again. Don Di Felipe, how's the air? It's beautifully crisp and clean. We're caught up now. It's okay to fall asleep. It's okay to relax. It's okay to drift off. Once again, your brain will know how to formulate everything I'm saying, and everything that I'm saying is already something that you have experienced as human. Each and every one of us at one point was one cell. Each and every one of us at one point had permeated the cosmic egg of creation and became alive. Each and every one of us released zinc after about a half an hour of being conceived in stillness, and a spark of light occurred in which the infinite intelligence entered us, and about 24 to 30 hours after that, we started to divide through mitosis. None of us are an exception to that. So all I'm asking you to do is return to that right now, which is essentially going into the past, but you're actually going back to the truth of your existence when you were whole. That's very unifying. It's very comforting. It's very reassuring. You have an umbilical cord that's feeding you all of your vital nutrients. You're in an amniotic fluid sac where you're floating, comfortable, serene, you're perfectly warm. There aren't too many loud noises to permeate and disturb you. You're otherwise asleep, drift drifting off into the perfect wish fulfillment every moment of your life in this state of being. That's all I want you to return to. And as you come to that first cell, the progenitor zygote, the first stem cell that is what becomes the rest of you, I want you to try to imagine now growing from the size of one cell to the size that is a fully gestated baby. To give you an idea, we can now transfer this image to the world around us. That amount of growth from a zygote to a fully formed baby after term is the same as growing from you being an adult right now, at an adult human, to the size of planet Earth itself. So what I want you to do is imagine growing to the size of planet Earth and becoming the Earth itself. See if you can do that now, okay? You're growing from your homunculus to the size of planet Earth, to the shape and form as you imagine it, however it is. So for the flat earthers, it would be a flat dome with a firmament, and for the round earthers, it would be a circular globe. To each their own. It's not so much important as much as the size in which you have grown. So go ahead and do that now. Feral Cat Lady, thank you for following and welcome. Mika, thank you for following. Shannon says, here to learn more. We are now diving in to our inner fire or inner volcano, Kundalini rising, blissed out meditative practice. Welcome. It's a good time to arrive here on this channel. We have just gone back to our origins as human. We have been grown to the size of planet Earth. We had to do nothing about it. All we did was observe and use the imagination, and now we are the size and shape of planet Earth itself. Get used to that feeling. All of the trees, all of its inhabitants, the source of the sun acting as the umbilical cord. You're at full term. The streams are flowing, the waterfalls as well, are all part of you. And within, beyond the crust and the mantle, all of the lava, the heat, the core, all of the gold in the center of your being, all of the diamonds that formed over billions of years under hard, layered pressure. All of these components, all of the precious metals, all of the gemstones, all of the inventions and the constructions of cities. This is you in this form of being. That's all I'm asking of you. For there is no difference between the size that you grew as a sperm to a fully gestated baby in comparison to the macrocosm example of you growing from an adult human to the size of planet Earth. There's no difference in the growth and magnitude. It's the same. So all I'm asking is for you to repeat it. That's all. Not a big deal. You're familiar enough with this environment to become it. Okay, so now we are all Earths of our own. And we got some folks coming in here. Thank you for sharing, Kirsten. Chill Jill, thanks for the follow. No says, hello, William. I hope you're doing well. I'm no need to hope. I am well. Thank you very much. I get it. Appreciate it. Feral Cat, and thanks for following. We're caught up. So everyone's an Earth of their own now. Now, of course, the Earth isn't without its perceived problems. Whatever it could be for you, global warming, it could be a greenhouse effect, it could be pollution in the shores and in the oceans. It could be the extinction of key life forms and habitats. It could be a number of things, but just understand that all of those perceived disasters and traumas to the Earth equate to what you would believe to be your own personal life experiences. And each and every one of us with our own designed Earth has unique situations happening with our planet. Okay? So no need to judge anyone else. If one person has a flat earth, the other one has a round one. One person has earthquakes and volcanoes erupting, the other has pollution and global warming. Whatever it could be, doesn't matter so much as the earth knows how to repair it, and it falls into a place as a habitable zone in comparison to the source that is their umbilical cord, which is the sun. All of this is now under repair. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about one of those situations in your life. For me, I could tap into something perhaps when I was a child. I could invite it in right now in the form of a volcano. So imagine from the belly of your existence as the planet Earth itself, all of the diamond and gold that is being squeezed out along with all of the lava and what would be considered a renewal, now bursting like a zit from a mountainous region, pouring out over the land. And I want you to imagine while that is happening an instantaneous reversal and turning to growth through the most loamy of soils in the formation of a beautiful, pristine island in the middle of a otherwise pristine Caribbean-like ocean landscape. I want you to imagine the formation of this island as there's the eruption of whatever pain remembrance is. Imagine this lava passing through the center of your being, like the center of your being as the earth would be your spinal column. I want you to see all this surfacing. And as it reaches the surface, I want you to just let it go. Let it pour out. Let it distribute itself. Let it cool down. Let it be. Notice how this doesn't harm you. Notice how this doesn't do any damage to you. It only renews, and what it brings up is what is necessary to be released. It doesn't have to be defined, but what happens afterward is you see the growth and the enlightenment and enrichment of the earth. The precious metals and the precious gems are sitting right on the surface. Now you can come back into being, walking upon this island that has come to its stability and has solidified itself as real in your mind, and you can start picking up these diamonds, grabbing these beautiful gold ingots, enjoying the pristine waters of flowing fresh water, smelling the fragrances of the frangipani, picking the beautiful ripe mangoes from the trees, taking in the great salty breeze from the oceans surrounding you, the warmth of the sun beaming down on your skin, converting cholesterol into vitamin D, feeling at ease and one with this space that you have created for yourself. And when you are satisfied with that scene, go back to being the earth again. Take in whatever else is considered a pain remembrance for you and erupt it. Bring it up with your inhale through the spine. And as it reaches the solar plexus right here, let it emerge and run its course without definition or label. It's simply going out. You've become the earth again. It needs to run its course. At the same time, it's brought up all of these vital nutrients that otherwise were kept oppressed and wound down in the center of your being now has a chance to express itself in the form of new life and renewal. You do this over and over and over, switching between the erupting volcano as the earth, observing it without any pain or any threat to your being, to coming back into being as a human, enjoying the renewal of this space as a beautiful, pristine garden. Now, for some of you, you may not want to be on a lush island, enjoying the fruits and the breeze. You may want to be in a bustling city. Okay. Imagine the construction of these edifices, the skyscrapers, whatever details of transport, whatever newfound technologies, add them. Whatever developed technology, education, and renewal in that way, add it. Heck, some of you who really love love might want to just have a love island, or a love yacht, or a love sports car. But what you're doing is you're coming back to this place that used to be painful and has been converted into a perfect playground, a sandbox, as it were, for wish fulfillment to be experienced in the now. And in doing this, we are impressing the subconscious mind that we are not just a human being, but actually the earth itself. This has profound implications as far as manifestation in your life. Now, we've had time to imagine ourselves growing to the size of the earth, and we've imagined coming back after the eruption of a volcano and the construction of our wish fulfillment to enjoy it. How about we allow every cell in our body to have the same experience? As we go inward, start to imagine now each and every one of your 50 trillion cells experiencing its own little earth with its own little eruptions and its own little renewal. Each and every one has a chance now to go on its own personalized vacation. Imagine nurturing each and every one of your own cells, which is a result of you from when you were conceived. And just say, it's all yours. This is for you. Enjoy. Be at peace. Be on vacation. Be enriched. Be healthy. Be secure. Be healed. Do this for you now. Every cell. Every cell in your body. Happy hippie grandma. Thanks for following. Samantha, you too. Thanks for following. Nicole, thank you. Yancy says, are you cold? No, but thinking it makes it so. I just was told, great job. I've been live for 90 minutes. I can't even believe it. Feels like it's been 5 minutes. Kirsten, thank you for sharing. Tracy War, thanks for following. Feels like it's been 5 minutes. Because time literally does not exist when we are one with Source. It dissipates along with the ego. This is true healing. So keep imagining every cell in your body being warm at the perfect 70-degree temperature with a slight breeze on the Caribbean shores. The perfect meal, the perfect partner, the perfect life situation unfolding before you through God's manifold expression offered to you through the imagination. Each and every cell feeling this automatically knows no difference between what you see and where you transport yourself in the imagination. And that is your greatest power. John A. says, the flow state is timeless indeed. Jason, great day to you, Jason. Nice to see you. Hello, my friend. Here's a little gift for everyone to look at right now. You see this? What a beauty. See that emerald green juxtaposed with the red and blues? This is the largest alexandrite on the planet, showing itself for the first time in a long time. It looks soft, it's beautiful. It could be just a quartz. It could be just quartz. But I see a lot of color change. Reds, blues, greens. I see a lot of color change. Imagine the perfect gemstone in your hand right now, representing the core of your existence, your truth and being. Go there and become this, the crystal of crystals. All its inclusions, all its perceived flaws, let them be. All its perceived value or lack of worth, let it be. Tazog says, I love rocks and crystals. Lol. I'm just holding on to it, letting it warm my hands. I'm on my little island, letting it warm my hands. I'm on my little island, and it's just another volcano. Become the volcano. Invite it up from the depths of wherever it's coming from. You don't have to define it. It just erupts. It cools. It forms into loamy soil. It deposits precious metals and gemstones. You come into being and you revisit the space. And you just receive it all. Just keep repeating the story. Offer it to your cells. Every single one, without exception. Jill says, perfectly made by the earth, indeed. Let it all be done by the earth. That's all it is. So instead of it being inner fire tumo, which is a beautiful Tibetan practice, what we're doing instead is we are imagining ourselves returning to the womb of creation and letting the process take care of itself without us interfering or feeling like we need to take part. This way, the greatest form of healing occurs because we don't have to participate as much as we observe. And even if we wanted to detach from observing and just go to sleep and be detached from it and rest, we know that the cells have been placed in the environment of healing just by listening to these words. They know to be safe and in a place of enrichment rather than under a stressful situation that otherwise would be presented if we were just to listen to the feed of life, as it were. Juan Cervantes asks, "You're not cold?" No. No. I'm not shivering, am I? How does my hand look? Blue or red? The temperature is probably about 15 degrees Fahrenheit. The reason why I'm not shivering is because mitochondria have migrated to the surface of my skin in such huddles that they're producing furnaces of heat through thermogenesis. I feel no cold. That's thanks to an infinite intelligence. It's not something I would recommend to everyone to be in this environment in this way until you have practice with it and are able to surrender to whatever the environmental circumstances are. But this is to prove to you that epigenetics is a true concept. It's scientific. If I believe myself to be warm and strong, then I am warm and strong, and my cells follow suit. Okay? If I believe myself to be cold, and I keep saying I am cold, I need to get out of here right away. This is not safe for me. This is not healthy for me. This is not good for me. Then soon enough, the mitochondria will retreat, head towards my inner organs to handle inflammation. Cortisol levels go up and spike, and I will soon enough be shivering, chattering my teeth, and running for the hills. But I don't see how that would solve anything. I don't see how that would make me feel better. There doesn't seem to be a resolution in that. 11 Jedi says you get used to the cold, especially when you're moving. Indeed. Margie says, hello to you and your beautiful eyes this glorious afternoon. Thank you, Margie, for that kind mention. So once again, everyone, we have practiced for the first time the inner volcano. And just to give you a preview of what we will likely practice tomorrow, I know I'm promising something through time which can lead to suffering, but that's okay. It's a small promise. Will be the practice of the inner lotus. The inner lotus shall be the next practice at hand, and eventually, through enough going back and forth between our inner volcano becoming the earth and allowing our pain remembrances to unwind, and the inner lotus allowing ourselves to blossom in entirety, we will come into the I am that I am, and then I'll be able to show you Kriya. All in time. Maria, thank you for following, and welcome. So, I would like to take this opportunity now to solidify our practice, and for those who would like to know how to access this practice, it will be available on my YouTube likely this evening. The link is in my bio. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you get that the moment it launches and is dropped. My name is Freedom. Thank you for following. What a name. V. Chilcote. Thank you for following. Maria, I think I got you. Kara, thanks for following. Juan Cervantes, thank you. Let us solidify our work. Imagine, just like the cells in your body have been enriched with this beautiful renewal, the earth that you created as yourself also being fortified and sealed. Like the egg that we permeated when we were conceived, it calcifies on the outside and thus protects ourselves from anything outside wanting to come in. So just imagine that fortification happening now with this beautiful work you've done for yourself, the same fortification occurring with your physical body, only allowing that which is of benefit to come and go. Do this now. Just be thankful and grateful that the imagination has fueled this today. Kera, thank you. Again, I think I said, for following. Okay, now that it is solidified, feel free to slowly ease yourself back into the waking life and just start to come into observing that you're alive, And if you're asleep, just drift. Just sink in. Know that you are in the perfect arms of your senior partner, the subconscious mind. No harm comes to you knowing that you are birthless, deathless, changeless, and immortal in your truth. Pure spirit. Always have been. Always will be. Derogatory Me says, howdy, hope everyone is well. With everyone. Everything, lol. That's great. You too, Derogatory Me. Margie says, you have helped me on my day today and learned so much. I am so grateful. Thank you, Margie. Thank you to everyone who has sent so much love on this day. We're now currently 19,900 feet above sea level. Pretty epic. Trish King says, maybe for another day. I missed the first part. John A. says, thank you, William. You're more than most welcome, John. I figured this is the best way without having to have like a group and organize it. I'm just going to give all of the techniques in a slow distillation through our live streams, and everyone can have them for free on YouTube. You help me by subscribing. It helps me to get monetized on YouTube, which will be lovely. It'll be a wonderful source of income to support me in doing more of this. Who knows? Heck, I would love for us all at some point in time, I don't know, go to the Joshua Tree Retreat Center, Spiritual Center, have a real musical retreat, get into real yogic postures, meditation. I would like that. Have some really good vegan meals, come into being, maybe see a few UFOs. Who knows? Yeah, I would love that too. Ebony says, thank you. Second time in your live. Love this space. That is awesome. Thank you, Ebony. Blessings to you. Vito Cote says, I would love that. Derogatory Me says 100%. Yeah. Joshua Tree Retreat Center in Palm Springs. That would be a fun place to go to have these discussions. We could do some sunrise meditations, get into sun gazing, decalcification of the pineal gland, work with crystals, education in physiology and anatomy, discussion of the energetic centers, the chakras, mantras, the use of I am through affirmations, new thought, kundalini. Boy, we could have a good week to 2 weeks there, or maybe just a nice weekend. But what I see is this type of unfolding occurring. The more that we have these sessions together, the more the desire is presented to our hearts. 11 Jedi says, check out Bryce Canyon. It's pretty too. Where is that? I'm unfamiliar. Jim Jam, thanks for the follow. For all the folks who follow today. So nice to see the growth of this channel. It's very encouraging. Very, very encouraging. Just breathing in through the nose, giving myself a nice dose of that nitric oxide. Being thankful for all of you being here. Bryce Canyon is in Utah, says Bibiana. Thank you for that, Bibiana. I wonder, is it close to Moab? That's my question. I've been to Moab. It was a short visit, and boy, I can tell you it was so hot. But in a good way. Let's have a listen here. Let's have a listen. To say I don't hear anything is the same as saying I hear nothing. That brings you into presence. It heals you. Little secret. It's about 250 miles away from Moab. Thank you, Bibiana. Derogatory Me says, I'm actually cleaning a massive load of different crystals from my daily rock hounding today. Wow. Can you tell us about some of your acquisitions in this area of providence? Or I should say area of provenance? That sounds like quite a haul. Love to hear about some of the finds. What a beautiful practice we've had today. Now keep in mind you can return any time to this exercise. It's placing yourself in the womb of creation, fortifying yourself there, expanding to the size of planet Earth, becoming the Earth, freeing yourself from whatever individual pains. And as they surface, simply they become the act of a volcanic eruption. As you witness in fast time lapse, its cooling and its renewal of loamy soil and vegetation or construction, however you see fit, and then plant yourself there, root yourself in that environment, and be at ease enjoying it. This is different than going into the imagination to live your wish-fulfilled life, and of course that is an exercise that you most certainly have access to. The purpose of this inner volcano is more so for the unwinding of deep-seated pain remembrances, otherwise known as karmic influences. We are just going a bit deeper than we typically do, which is fine. It has a time and a place, like everything else. Okay. Derogatory Me, okay, you did some rock hounding in Central California, close to the Mojave. Awesome. Trish King says we can do that here. Indeed, we can go to Joshua Tree even here. We can go to our personalized, reconstructed islands of wish fulfillment here. In fact, there is no other time that we can do that but now. As we come to our conclusion on this day, I want to thank all of you. We probably have another 4 or 5 minutes before the conclusion of this broadcast. It's been my pleasure serving as your skipper and captain. Now we are 21,100 feet above sea level. My name is William. I want to thank each and every one of you for flying the friendly astral skies of Immortal Arts. What a wonderful journey we've had today, returning to our roots, healing our pains, enjoying our fruits. Liz222, thank you for sharing. Have a little bit of some ambient noise while I zip my lip as we cross the bridge to the end of our day. Take this time now just to be grateful for whatever it is in your life that you can recognize as real or reaffirming, reassuring. As I walk, enjoy this now. Go ahead. As one door closes, another door opens. As is everything that comes and goes. Anything presenting itself in a feeling must have a beginning, middle, and end. Let this reassure you. Should there ever be any discomfort in your life, it comes with a temporarily painful moment, but then subsides. Like the cold comes the warmth, and everything else in between. Randy Rain says, thank you so much. Vichilcote, thank you so much. Love and light to you. You too. Calcite is amazing for the light bending alone. It is soft though. 3 to 4 in the Mo's, yes. That's right. Calcite leaves a very unique refraction. That's beautiful. You know your stuff. Derogatory me. Did I miss anyone? I'll be checking the notifications in just a minute. Just gonna wrap this walk here. I can hear the birds already chirping. They are wondering when they shall be given their treats. Treats yet again. David Reed says thank you. Right back at you, David. It's a nice chill day today. All the birds are coming around. Remember, every time you entertain a thought, you're making a wish. So keep wishing. Wish well. I'll take that from you.
I got you.
Thanks. That's great. I'm going to toss some up.
Kristen and Jean asked me
Okay.
for you.
Cool. Thank you. No, it's all right. Thank you. I'm going to throw some out there. Thanks. With love, Helen says, love and light, keep blessing, namaste. All right, everyone, watch this. Hey, chickadees, come on. Come on. Come on, guys. There you go. There's a little house sparrow. There's a dark-eyed junco. That was a tufted titmouse. There's another tufted titmouse. Now they're coming through in droves. There we go. There's a chickadee. There's a downy woodpecker wondering, okay, let's go take care of the downy woodpecker and then I'm gonna conclude for the day. So if I missed any of you, know I love you. I'm thinking of you all. Hello, chickadee. How are you today, chickadee? Hey, guys. How are ya? Yeah, chickadee. Come on over. Come on, chickadee. Let's see if we can get up close. Hello, chickadee. Come on. Hey. Hello. Come on, buddy. Come on, guys. There's another chickadee. There's a downy woodpecker. Hello, guys. Hi, chickadees. Come on, guys. There you go. All right. You love their song. Me too. God bless you all. You'll see this posting up. Thank you for the heart puff, Liz. You'll see this posting up on YouTube, so don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. The chickadees are telling you to get on it now. I'll see you tomorrow around noon, 12:30, maybe 1. Every day I'll be live. I love you all. Keep your practice going. Take care of yourselves. Audie, thanks for following. God bless you all. Till next time.